I said, God, you gotta move this mountain. I just don't see it any other way. I'm too weak to make the climb. I need a miracle this time. That's when I said, God, you gotta move this mountain. I just don't see it any other way. I'm too weak to make the climb. I need a miracle this time. That's when I said, God, you gotta move this mountain. I just don't see it any other way. I'm too weak to make the climb. I need a miracle this time. That's when I said, God, you gotta move this mountain. I just don't see it any other way. I'm too weak to make the climb. I need a miracle this time. That's when I said, God, you gotta move this mountain. I just don't see it any other way. I'm too weak to make the climb. I need a miracle this time.
Good afternoon. We need a miracle. My name is Donna Feazell, and I'm your host of Afternoon Drive Home on IC Radio in the town of Geraldine, Alabama. We are your source for news and entertainment. You can also find us on television locally. You can find us on channel 182 on Charter Communications, and then Abundant TV nationwide, found on Roku, Apple TV, and Amazon Fire. Today's going to be another great day. Hoping that we're going to be with Don Brown. He's an attorney out of Charlotte, North Carolina. I know that he's had some attorney stuff going on in attorney language, so he may be just a bit late coming in. So anyway, looking forward to seeing him today. Also, we're going to be talking about honeybees a little bit later in the show. I went on ahead and did a pre-video and probably won't air until tomorrow, but we're just going to, or maybe even Wednesday. So we're going to try that out and see how that works as well. Yeah, I just kind of went out in the yard and out in the garden and started taking some videos so you guys could see what those concrete, as a matter of fact, I've been receiving a lot of messages from you guys wanting to know how the concrete block garden was coming on. Man, it's doing really good. I recommend anybody do that. Okay, I mean, it's just the way to have a garden. So I'm really excited about that. Coming up on tomorrow's show at 1:30, I'll be talking with AP Stedham. He's a talk show host, and he's starting another talk show, which is pretty exciting. So we're going to be talking about that tomorrow. 2 o'clock, we'll be talking with Philip Gilliland tomorrow, and he is with the American Fellowship of Cowboy Churches. And they've just had their dedication to one of their churches, about to have another one. So we're excited about that. JL Music Man is going to be with us, and that's going to be on Wednesday at 1 o'clock. And I'm really excited to talk to him. He has written a song, and it's about today's world and today's times. So, and I've listened to the song, and I really do like it. On Thursday, 1 p.m., we'll be talking with Rob Patz, and Rob is the owner of Abundant TV, where you can find us nationwide. And I'm looking forward to talking with him. His shows are really fun. We really have no format. I mean, we just, who knows what the subject is going to be about. We'll just get on there and just start having some fun. And then 2 p.m., Don Hunden will be with us, and he's the pastor of the Cowboy Church we go to, which is on Lookout Mountain. So I'm looking forward to having Don with us as well. So lots of great stuff going on. Have some announcements I need to make while we're waiting on Dawn to come in. Jackson County Bama Club sets the date for the annual Roll Tide Barbecue. They have this every year. Rick Roden is the president of and CEO of the Mountain Valley Chamber of Commerce. They're located in Scottsboro, and so they schedule this every year. Now they kind of got behind a little bit when COVID happened, but we're all making ground for when COVID happened. This is going to be a barbecue on Thursday, August the 11th. You've got plenty of time to get ready for it. It'll be at 6 p.m. It will be at the Scottsboro Goose Pond Civic Center. And man, that's a nice place. I don't know if you've ever been. If you're thinking about traveling into Alabama, you're one of the other 50 states, I encourage you to do that. I encourage you to go find that. Everything we have here is just beautiful. We have this beautiful mountains and lakes and just all kinds of water and cliffs and just everything. And so I encourage you to go to the Goose Pond Civic Center as well. You need to check out some of these areas. Guest speaker this year will be Greg Byrne. He's the director of athletics for the University of Alabama. Prior to this appointment, he was the athletic director at the University of Arizona. And this was from 2010 to 2017, and at Mississippi State University from 2008 to 2010. He was named Alabama's 17th Director of Athletics on January 17th, 2017. He made an immediate impact on the Crimson Tide, developing and implementing both the standard and strategic plan outlining the mission statement and core values of Alabama athletics and the Crimson Standard, a 10-year, $600 million capital initiative focused on the renovation of facilities and development of infrastructure. They're excited to have Greg this year for a Roll Tide barbecue, said Rick Roden, again, president of the Jackson County Chamber. Please come out and see Greg and help us raise money for scholarships. And this is for Jackson County students to attend the University of Alabama. Now, in Jackson County Bama Club recently awarded over $59,000 in scholarships to 18 students. And this is from Scottsboro and Jackson County schools. Now, tickets are $20 in advance, $25 at the door, $15 for children and under, and are available from any executive committee member or at the Jackson County Bama Club, the Mountain Lakes Chamber of Commerce, and the Lackey Law Firm, or just simply by calling Rick, and you'll love Rick. He's a real neat guy. 256-628-1212. That is 256-628-1212. And he says Roll Tide. And that is coming from Rick. Okay. And yes, I'm married to an Alabama fan. I am an Auburn fan. Absolutely. But I'm one of those. I'm for actually both. I'm a true Auburn fan. However, if I do see that Alabama just simply doesn't have a shot at it, or Auburn doesn't have a shot at it, I will root. I promise you, I will root for Alabama. I've done that many times in the past. Yes, I have. Buy one, get one free. And this is going on at mypillow.com. Make sure you do check these folks out, okay? We have their accessories. We've had the pillows for years. Really easy to wash. Throw them in the washing machine. Nothing to do to prepare. You don't have to take out the stuffing, none of that stuff. You just throw the whole pillow in the washing machine, throw it in the dryer, and it's just like it's brand spanking new. I mean, it's really cool. So buy one, get one free. They've got the bed sheets on sale. I love the bed sheets. They are awesome. And the Giza Elegance My Pillows, again, buy one, get one free. You got to use a promo code. I'm going to give it to you a couple of times. But that promo code is Donna, D-O-N-N-A, Donna, D-O-N-N-A. They also have the Roll and Go Anywhere My Pillows. And I like them because they have, like, one of them has the United States flag on it. And the other one says, with God, all things are possible. And I like those. And also the My Pillow towel sets are really, really awesome towels. You can get the 6-piece towel set. This is time I'm going ahead and buy them up. If you're thinking about, just redoing they have so many colors to choose from. So if you're thinking about redoing the bathroom or the kitchen or whatever, and you use towels in any of those rooms, now's the time going ahead and get them while you can get a buy one, get one free pack. So yeah, it's the entire thing you get free. So you're going ahead and buy the 6-piece towel sets. You get another 6-piece for free. And it comes with 2 of the big towels. And by the way, they're really big, luscious towels. They're long, they're wide, and they're, like I said, they're really good towels. And they dry you off really quick. And then there's also some hand towels, and then you also 2 of those, and then you'll get 2 bath cloths, which is absolutely awesome too. They also have pajamas. Now I haven't got those yet. So I need to do that. And they also have shirts and all kinds of great things to choose from. The slippers I love. Now I don't have the slippers. I have the moccasins. But either one, whatever your preference is, some people like Coke, some people like Pepsi. Some people like moccasins, some people like slip-ons. The moccasins are really nice enough to what you can wear them around the house if you want to do that. If you want to wear them out somewhere, you can do that as well. So if you want to put your jeans on or your shorts on and put on those moccasins, they look good, okay? So you can wear them inside or outside. And also those My Pillow doggy beds, they're nice. They're beginning, they're as low as $19.99. Again, you got to have the promo code, Donna, Donna, for that. And you can use caps or lowercase letters, whatever you want to do. And they're blankets. I haven't got one of those, but I'm planning on getting one of those before winter kicks in. Probably now, because Phil is like really, really cold-natured, and or hot-natured, and I'm really cold-natured, and he will put the air on, and you can hang meat in this house and in the studio. So I think I'll get one of those blankets. Again, the promo code is Donna, Donna. It's that simple, real easy to use. Okay, I think probably Dawn is not going to be coming in. So that's what I'm going to guess for anyway. So let's go ahead. I've got, the winners. Oh, yes. Y'all been going crazy wanting to know who won. Who won the birthday club? Who won the date night club? Who won the anniversary club? Well, I'm going to tell you right now. And by the way, it's really easy to win. All you've got to do is send a text my way, 256-659-4319. You can also send an email. It's plain old Donna at afternoondrivehome.com. Donna at afternoondrivehome.com. Let me know for the wedding anniversaries. Let me know your birthdays. Let me know anniversaries, birthdays, all that stuff. And don't be afraid to include the whole family. I don't have to have just your name. If you've got a spouse, you might want to put them in there. And if you're within this sound of my voice of my sound right now, we're going to get some national ones on there pretty soon. So if you're within the sound of my voice, well, then you will be, hopefully, maybe I'll pick your name. Oh, and I wanted to mention this. If you don't win the birthday club and the anniversary club, I put your name in the date night club. Okay, so I can draw the name out at any given time, so it stays in date night. Okay, date night, congratulations to Kay and Mike Alexandra. They won a $20 gift certificate to Vintage 1889. And this is located in Fort Payne, Alabama. You need to go by there and check them out. If you're just coming through town, you want to see what that show that Donna's on that's like in Sand Mountain, North Alabama. Yeah, you need to come check this place out. It's really cool. Like all over. Every little town we have here has something unique that it really stands out in the town. Oh, and we're really proud of the town of Geraldine. We do have our new signs up, and they look really good. They look pretty cool. Okay, and this is brought to you by Adams Brown Service Funeral Home. They are in Albertville, Alabama. Mr. Kilpatrick runs operations around there. We've known Mr. Kilpatrick a very long time. My granddaddy, we're friends with them, and of course my parents and church members and all that. So everybody knows Mr. Kilpatrick, and they are really passionate about what they do. Date night congratulations to Sarah Morris. Sarah, you won 2 gift cards to Santa Fe Cattle Company. Now, Santa Fe Cattle Company is located in Albertville, and then also in Fort Payne. I think they're located in about 3 different states. And so go to the website, santafecattlecompany.com, and you'll see what I'm talking about. Now, one of the videos I did today, which should be on the show, maybe could be Thursday by the time it gets up there. And so I just wanted to mention to you that I had mentioned the Albertville Foodland Plus. In Albertville Foodland Plus, they will have carts that are available. And on those carts that are available are pretty cool. And so who knows that Phil, the show may be up by 2 after all. So we're checking on it. So we're trying something kind of new with Abundant TV. And so we have a video that's processing, not the one I did today, but the one that we've done earlier. So we're just trying some new, I like to try new stuff, don't you? I like it when the plan works, though. It's even better when that happens. Okay, now back to Albertville Foodland Plus. Now, I'm talking to you from not just Albertville Foodland Plus, but in every state of the union, in every town, there's probably a grocery store that will have a cart just as you walk in, and it's usually marked down produce. And let me tell you some marked down produce you need to look for. Bananas is one of them. You need to buy bananas. And the blacker they, I know it sounds gross, but the blacker they are on the outside, the better banana bread is. And so what I like to do, I like to buy it up and put it, kind of mash it up just a little bit and put it in the freezer. Yeah, I mean, it does wonders. The mushier it is, which would be disgusting on a sandwich or something, but or eating it like that. But the more mushy it is, the better the banana bread. Like you don't want to put a real ripe banana on banana bread. It's just not good. But it's really, really good. So usually what they'll do in every grocery store will have a cart, and you'll be able to go to that cart and find all kinds of produce. So one of the things is bananas. I'm always looking for bananas. And then another thing I look for sometimes is when it's planting season, it's time to plant potatoes. And you can get some like really, really nice, those russet potatoes or any potato will work. If it has little sprouts coming out of it, you better go ahead and get those, because you know what you can do? Go ahead and plant those down in the ground and you'll have some potatoes somewhere around October, wherever you live. And it's going to depend on the planting zone where you live. But you just might have some potatoes coming up out of your ground. As a matter of fact, on the video that I'll be showing probably Thursday, you'll be able to see what it is. Okay, I mean, it's just kind of cool. You'll be able to see where I planted the potatoes, but all kinds of stuff. I mean, like if you find, tomato paste, like sauces, spaghetti sauce and stuff like that, those are good using really, really super ripe tomatoes. So check it out. Sometimes they'll have some of their herbs and stuff from, marked down too. Just check out the grocery cart and just look for marked down veggies and stuff and fruits. Okay, let's see. Date night congratulations to Dale and Crystal Paget. They won a $20 gift card to Papa Doobie's. They are located in Albertville. You can go to Papa Doobie's in Albertville and like plan your own menu. I mean, it's all kinds of awesome, great stuff happening there. And this is brought to you by Shepherd's Cove Thrift Shop. Now, we're going to talk about Shepherd's Cove and some of the things that you can repurpose. Yeah, and I've got quite a few things that I've got laying around here that I'd like to show you. Oh, and I found a steamer. And I'm one of those, I'm so used to finding such good deals at Shepherd's Cove that it's hard on me to pay full price for anything. I just won't do it. And so I found a steamer. Now it's a portable one, which is all I need. And so what you do is you put water in it, and the water kind of starts boiling, and you can see it. There's a little glass look that you can see. And it'll kind of start boiling, and then you can just steam stuff. And I'm going to try it. I found a really pretty leather jacket, and it has kind of some wrinkles in it. So I didn't pay much for it because I got it at Shepherd's Cove Thrift Shop. So this way, if I ruin the sleeve, it's not going to be like a big deal, okay? And because, again, I'm getting something at a bargain price. I want to try steaming that. And I might just do that on there one day, too, just let you kind of see it at work. But steamers are awesome. This one, instead of like $50, cost $3. And it was still in the box and everything. And it looked as if it has never been used. I don't know. Sometimes people get their grandparents like Christmas presents, and maybe it's something the grandparent never uses, and they'll just like clean out stuff and give it to Shepherd's Cove. But now you've probably got a thrift shop near you that's a super Shepherd's Cove Thrift Shop. They're located on Highway 431 in Albertville, really easy to get to. Go inside. Whatever you're looking for, you're going to find it probably. They got special areas like for tools, clothes. If you like doing stuff, it's like repurposing. Oh, let me tell you something. I will buy leather coats if it's got a good smell to it. Now, if somebody is a smoker, you'll never get the smoke out. I have tried everything in the world. So I'll smell it. So if it smells like a smoker probably wore it, I don't get it. But you can make all kinds of stuff. You can make like leather bracelets out of it. You can make handbags. You can make a tote. You can do all kinds of things out of repurposed leather. And that's whether it's like just a regular leather or you do suede leather. Either way, it works. And I mean, I can show you real fast in a couple of shows. If I have a guest that are not going to be available, I'll show you how to do those things. Okay, again, on Highway 431 in Albertville is where you can find Shepherd's Cove Thrift Shop. Okay, Lamont's Mexican Restaurant, and they are located in Henniger, Alabama, which is almost right there at the state line. So it's real easy to find as you're going north on Highway 75. And this is also brought to you by my friend, attorney Jeff McCurdy. And I've known Jeff for a long time, very long time. And he's a good friend of mine. And he's in office. I mean, he's in politics and that kind of thing too. But he's just as a matter of fact, if you're looking right now, you can see Jobline. That's Jeff McCurdy right there. But anyway, he's just a super nice guy. And so he is sponsoring Lamon's Mexican Restaurant's $20 gift certificate. Now, I'm going to be at Lamon's Mexican Restaurant again. I think it's about the first week in July. Hard to wait to go. I always have a whole lot of fun with them. Okay, birthday congratulations to Mary Johnson. Mary won a $20 gift certificate to Kudzu Cafe on the Square. And I wanted to mention this about Kudzu Cafe, okay? Kudzu Cafe is, let me go ahead and find their, I know that Christy put something on her Facebook page, Kudzu Cafe right here, okay? And so there was an issue with the rent. The landlord didn't want to renew it, something weird, but she's still staying in business. And I think this is really, really super that she's doing this. She has a truck, and she brought it to one of my events one time. And so she has it's like this traveling like truck, and she also does catering events. And so let me see if I can find it. Let's see, book your, okay. So what she's going to do is she's still going to give away $20 gift certificates, but you can book events with them at the Kudzu Cafe. The telephone number to reserve is 256-585-5948. So if you got, say, like a class reunion coming up or something like that, and you want somebody to cater it, somebody who's really, really good at it, and you does fresh food, it's going to be Christy at Kudzu Cafe. And let's see, let me find, I don't know if I've got that available tonight or not. No. Okay. Cater, again, you can call them, and all their food looks so fresh. I don't know if you can see this or not. Might be kind of hard to see, but anyway, fresh fruits, because I've had her food. She's done several events that I've been to. And so they're still going to be giving away a $20 gift certificate. And I don't know if you'll have to call in advance possibly, and just tell her you want it, and then she'll fix a package up for you. 256-585-5948. Tyler, congratulations. And Mary, congratulations on winning that. Happy birthday to Wade Gilbreth, who won the buy one, get one free large barbecue with a side and a drink. And this is Holy Smokes Barbecue. They are located in Scottsboro, Alabama. Real easy to get to. You go cross over, go down 35 from this area. You know what I'm talking about. You go at 75, and you're going north like you're going towards Rainsville. At Rainsville, you'll turn to the left on 35. Go down the mountain when you get to section. Go down the mountain, cross over the river, by the way, Mississippi River and all that. I told you we got it pretty stuff around here, mountains and water. And then you keep going, you'll cross over John T. Reed Parkway. It's going to run you right into Willow Street, just about 1 mile. You'll cross over Willow Street. Before you get to the railroad tracks, they're located on the right-hand side. Go ahead and check them out. And I will have to say this, old Barry Sheldon knows how to make a good brisket. You got to really, really be good if you know how to make a brisket. And he does, he's got that down. He's been in business a really long time. I don't know, at least a couple of decades. Also, date night, congratulations to Gary Gass. Gary won a $20 gift certificate to the Tigers Inn in Valley Head. And they were owned by someone who'd been in business for several decades and decided to get out of the business, started, just wanted to retire. And so my friend Adam Golden, who had worked in restaurant business for years, and decided to go ahead and buy it. And he and his wife, Miranda, do own this restaurant. And I'm going to tell you what, he's a good cook too. And so is Miranda. And they have lots of great, great food out there. This is brought to you by Rhonda's Elite Tax Service, located in Boaz. I wanted to talk to you for just a few minutes about getting ready for taxes now. I know now most of you dread it so bad that what you do is you wait until the last minute, and then you got to hurry up before the 15th of April to get everything ready, and then it's a drag, and then you don't get stuff done in time. And I kind of like to plan stuff myself, but Rhonda is a huge help. Now Rhonda is going to take a little time off, which is well deserved, and then she'll come back to IC radio station again, probably around December, and we're going to get ready for her advertising again. But I wanted to mention this right now is time to plan for taxes to get Rhonda to help you out next year, okay? And she does a thorough job. Now, we've been using her services since 2013, since we moved back from Charlotte, North Carolina. She does an excellent job. I don't want anybody else to touch my taxes but her, because she does such an awesome job. But you need to get categories ready. I know Phil does this. He doesn't want me to keep the receipts. He handles the receipts, which is a really good deal. That needs to be the way it is. And so file 13, you know what file 13 means? That means I don't need that piece of paper anymore. I'm gonna throw it in the trash can as soon as I get ready. Something from last week. But anyway, going ahead and start getting everything divided. Keep a little journal also with your mileage, and because you can count that off. They need to go up on the mileage. If anybody, I just haven't called Rhonda to find out. They need, since the gas prices have went up like super high, they need to go ahead and see about getting something handled on higher gas mileage. I think it was at 59 cents a mile that you're paid now. Well, they need to pay more. Okay, I wanted to mention to you lunch specials, and this is at the Cattle Stampede Steakhouse. They're located in Scottsboro and in Fort Payne. They have 5 lunches available under $5. $4.99, you can't beat it. You can either get a 5-ounce chicken breast, a 6-ounce chopped sirloin, or you can get the 4-piece chicken tenders, 15-piece popcorn shrimp, or the barbecue plate, whatever you want. I haven't had the chopped sirloin. Phil always gets that. The shrimp is always good, and Phil loves it, by the way. The shrimp is always good. Barbecue plate is always good. Chicken breast, chicken tenders. I usually get the chicken tenders, and they're big pieces too. Now they're not some little cheesy pieces. They're huge, and you can get your choice of baked potato, French fries, or onion rings with that as well. Now that is served. That lunch special is served from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. That's Central Time. So if you are in Georgia, or if you are anywhere else, then you need to come by and check this out on your way to Alabama to check out some of the awesome stuff. Now, I wanted to mention this to you all day on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. They've got that 8-ounce sirloin, and you get your choice of 2 sides. Comes with bread or onion petals for $14.95. And so that's a super good deal there as well. I'm going to put this over to the side. Absolutely. And I want you to be thinking about, I'm not going to hound on you too much about voting right now. I'll give you a little bit of time for that. But do be thinking about that, okay? Because the general election will be coming up in November, and there will be some times we're going to be talking about it as well. Okay, let's see how much time do I have before we go into a commercial break. Okay, I got a good couple of minutes. So let me go ahead and mention, that's going right there. Oh, I wanted to mention this, and this is Patterson Music and Jewelry, and you can buy online. You can give them a call, and they'll be glad to ship it to you anywhere. And that's Dan and Marie Patterson own this. This is where we buy all of our sound equipment. Anything that we want, if it's got sound to it, we buy it from them. And I like it because the customer service is so good, and their customer, and someone will answer the phone. Okay, that's pretty cool. You don't have to. You know how a lot of these people have bots. Some of these companies, I know what they're doing, and they'll ask you a bunch of, like, press 1 for this, press 2 for that, whatever. And it's to keep you busy while that one person they've got answering phones will may get to you if you don't get so disgusted and hang up first. These folks really believe you may have to leave a message, but they'll call you back. And I love doing business with them. They're located on Gulf Avenue in Fort Payne. It's 230 Gulf Avenue North in Fort Payne. The telephone number is 256-845-4115. And I wanted to mention that, first of all, he has all the churches in this area are following them, okay? And they buy their sound equipment. And by the way, I didn't know this until recently, but he does events and stuff. He actually did the event at the Geraldine Park, which is pretty cool. And so we're going to be buying some equipment from Dan when we have our next Geraldine in the music park as well. So I'm excited about that. Something else to learn. but we'll do it. We'll pick it up. But anyway, I wouldn't dream of buying it anywhere else but with Dan. And the reason why is because, I mean, he's always going to help you. And he's not one of those people who acts like it ticks him off if you ask a question either. Believe me, I know I've got the experience of asking a lot. I wanted to mention the Geraldine's Farmers Market. They are open on Wednesdays and Saturdays. Now, I'm not sure how long this is going to be. And I don't think it's too late. If you would like to go in ahead and you got some food or maybe some things that you've made locally and you're close to Geraldine, if you're going ahead and give them a call at the town hall, you still may be able to have your goods and services there. Now, they're open Wednesdays, 2 p.m. to 5 p.m. on Saturdays, 10 a.m. until whenever. So go ahead and check them out. Okay, folks, it's time for me to go ahead and go into a commercial break, and I will be back shortly. And I'm going to make a little quick look and see if this thing's going to pan out like I think it's gonna. So I'll go ahead and throw you in commercials. We'll be back in a few minutes.
I said, God, you gotta move this mountain. I just don't see it any other way. I'm too weak to make the climb. I need a miracle this time. That's when I heard the voice from heaven say, don't tell me about that mountain, tell that mountain about me. Face your feet, shout my name, proclaim the victory. You said you raised, now take a stand, get up on your knees. You told me about that mountain, now tell the mountain about me. Introduce the problem to the answer, and you will see that problem step aside. There's no place for fear. The God of heaven is near. Step out in faith and face it eye to eye. That's when I heard the voice from heaven say, don't tell me about that mountain.
Good afternoon. We're back. My name is Donna Feazell, and I'm your host of Afternoon Drive Home on IC in Christ Radio. Your source for news and entertainment. You can also find us on television, channel 182 on Charter Communications. I appreciate you listening to us every day, Monday through Friday, from 1 to 3 p.m. Central, as I get to ride home with you in the afternoon. I'm going to have to tell you, there's something about living out in the country. Yeah, my friends in Charlotte are saying, well, we just knew you from being in the city life. They didn't know that. My granddad had a farm. We moved back to Charlotte, from Charlotte to Geraldine, Alabama. We wanted to buy my granddad's farm. And so we did, bought my inheritance. But anyway, we bought our farm. And so we've expanded. And so we're really turning it into a living off the land kind of a thing. And I really do like it. And so it's so funny every morning for breakfast. I like kale or strawberries and, just anything that's in the garden. And so I'll tell Phil, I'll say, something, I just want to go to the grocery store out here. And then he'll go, okay, go to the grocery store. But what I mean when I say I'm going to the grocery store is, is here. I'm going to go get some kale or get some strawberries or something like that. So anyway, I told you that I would talk to you today about bees. And I am loving it. I mean, and I encourage anybody to do it. If you've got land, now I wanted to point this out, okay? And this is, I'm a member of this bee club, and I love these folks at this bee club. They are so awesome. They've been in the bee business forever, and they're the Jackson County, and that's over in Jackson County Beekeepers Association. And these folks have been such a huge help to me. I mean, just and Phil, we go to every meeting, and it's always the first Thursday of the month, and so I'm always excited. We missed one last month. Something came up and didn't get to go. But anyway, I go to every single one. I've only missed one. But you'll always pick up all kinds of information on what to do. So there is this bees, like there's a queen bee, okay? And so this queen bee, she needs to be kind of separated from everybody else. Kind of separated from everybody else. She is the CEO of the bee world. I'll just give it to you in corporate language terms. She's a CEO. She got it going on. So she's got all these workers, you got drones, you got all these folks. I call them people. I mean, they're like an organization. They are like a well-run company. And we could learn a lot from bees on things that they do. But anyway, the queen bee, you can put her in this little cage. And so we're going to be robbing the bees tomorrow. And that's going to be another episode. Okay. So we're going to film it while you'll see me. I'll be in a bee outfit. I mean, an outfit and the whole works, but you're going to watch me rob bees. And so Phil will probably be filming me while I'm doing it. And so you have these tools you have to have. And I'm watching videos, but really my best information comes from people that I know. And it's just, I don't know. I learn more every day. You'll never be a know-it-all. The one thing that I have found when people give me advice on taking care of bees is the one thing I will tell you is there's no one size fits all. Okay. A lot of it depends on where you live. If you're in the South, the way you rob bees and the way you raise bees is going to be totally different from our friends up north. Because they don't have the sweltering hot weather we have here, in Alabama. And so that's going to pay a lot into it. Now, you can kind of use a little common sense on this and raising bees. And you'll see and you'll just have to kind of watch them. Now, these bees are like friendly bees. I mean, like I get all around them and, I have my garden right by the bees. And so they just kind of swarm around me, and get their nectar and sugar water, whatever you got out there. But they they'll make these little, that they'll beard up on I won't tell you what a beard is. Okay. So you got your honey hive, your beehive. And so I was looking at them one time, like when it first started turning hot. So they were all kind of congregating on the outside of it. And I'm thinking, oh no, they're about to swarm, because that's one thing. You don't want to put money into something like this and then they all leave. You don't want that to happen. And so I was trying to do everything by the book. And then I started kind of, instead of doing so much by the book, I started doing things like, what would make sense, So I would see them, they were kind of fluttering around. And so I asked Dustin, who's been like a huge help. He's been on the show. You've seen him on the show a couple of times. And so I asked Dustin about, I said, it's almost like they're fanning themselves. Does that mean they're hot? And he said, you got it. And he said, they call it bearding. So it's almost like a man's beard. And they'll just kind of cover it in almost the shape of a beard around there. And what they're doing is they're getting outside and they're fanning. They're hot in there. They're making the honey and they're, the wax and all that stuff. And he said, so that's the deal. That's what they're doing. They're bearding. So what you have to do, there's a number of things. And if you wait for it to get perfect, you're never going to rob them. Okay. I mean, you'll just never do it, because if you're thinking, well, let's see, the moon needs to be a particular way, the, sun needs to shine a particular way, the weather needs to be, you just dive in there and do it. I mean, just, and it'll just kind of come to you. It'll just come kind of natural. So I'm looking so forward to it tomorrow. And I can't wait to show you. Now, and a lot of this is the common question. All my friends are saying, how many times have you been bit by these bees? One time. And that was because we had just put everything together. The racks were in there, the bees were in there, and we had the outfit on. You got to have the headset and all that. Although when I'm outside, I never wear that. I'm going to wear it tomorrow because you take food away from me, I'm going to get ill. Well, we're going to be taking food away from them. I'm going to leave a rack in there for them, and we're going to put more racks so they can make more food. And so, I mean, they could get a little more aggressive, and they may not. They're just such friendly bees, but you can't act afraid in front of them. So that's the big deal. Now, some of my friends who are in beekeeping suggested, and I said this, we're not saying you're dumb or anything. We're just saying if you're going to do beekeeping, you need to get the beekeeping for dummies. And and I was like, hey, call me a dummy. No, this has some like really good cornbread English ways on how you do stuff. And so, and there are certain people probably should not have bees. And so I'm going to just kind of read this a little bit of this stuff to you, and then we're going to get ready for the next show. But so this is what the author says, and it's by Wiley. It's a Wiley brand. And you can find these on Amazon. You can find them on different places. I didn't pay full price for it. You know me. I've never paid full price for anything. You can go to a bookstore. You can go to dummies.com and you can find it there. You can also find videos, how-to articles, or how to shop. But the recommendations that I have received from all of my beekeeper buddies is you don't want to read just anything. And so they've given a stamp of approval to this one again for keeping for dummies. So here's what the author says. I've been keeping bees in my backyard since 1983, and I have a confession to make. I really love my bees. This may sound weird to you if you aren't a beekeeper yet, but virtually everyone who keeps bees will tell you the same thing and will speak with deep warmth about their girls. I do that. I even say that about my chickens. I mean, I'll walk out and I'll go, hey girls, how are you? You have to talk to them. You've heard people say they talk to their plants. I think there's something to that. I don't know what it is. There's just something about being friendly with Earth. I mean, there's just something about it. They impatiently wait on their next opportunity to visit their hives. They experience a true emotional loss when their bees don't make it through a bad winter. And the beekeepers, without a doubt, develop a special bond with their bees. It's becoming a backyard beekeeper. I've grown to deeply admire the remarkable qualities of these enduring creatures. As a gardener, I've witnessed firsthand the dramatic contribution they provide to flowering plants. That's why my garden is so good. And I can't wait for you to see this video I did this morning. With honeybees in the garden, its bounty is increased by leaps and bounds. I've noticed that out of my own garden. And then there's that wonderful bonus that they give me every year, a yearly harvest of sweet liquid gold. If you handle bees, it's called sweet liquid gold. Now, after you get to know more about bees' value and remarkable social skills, you'll fall in love with them too. They're simply wonderful little creatures. Interacting with them is a joy and a privilege. People who love nature in its purest form will love bees and beekeeping. Now, let me tell you something else, because before I started doing this, now we love honey, and every morning, almost every morning, if you get a little bit of Bragg's vinegar, okay, it has the mud, they call it the mother. And so if you get some of that, put it in some water, and to sweeten it up, put some honey in it to make it taste better. It is so good for you. And I'm going to tell you this too. Honey, using it on your face at night is just an awesome thing to do for your skin. I mean, it really is. This is 60, I'm 63 years old. And it's just, this is 60-year-old skin. So I like to use natural products. First of all, you don't know what's in stuff nowadays that you buy. So I like to eat stuff that we raise. Meat, I don't do the cow thing or the pig. My cousin actually has cows out in the pasture. He rents land from us. But I don't slaughter my own stuff. I make pets out of stuff too easy. So, you know, that's not good for me to do. But my own fruits and vegetables, I like to buy. Now, I can get into a tight and, you know, maybe don't have a particular something I've got a taste for. I may have to go to the grocery store. If you do, go to Albertville Foodland Plus, fresh fruits. And they're big, but they're small. And what I mean by big but small, and you need to find your own grocery store like this wherever you live. So if you buy from a big but small place, they're going to be more apt to have local produce. And that's what you want. You want local honey as well, which is good for your environment. I used to think, you know, I'm going to go and buy it, even though it's kind of pricey. It's really not pricey. When you think about all the benefits and all the things that you get from it, like a woman may spend, and I used to do this, I was guilty of it. You may spend $30 or $40 on a jar of face cream like that, 30 or 40 bucks. So buying honey and putting that on your face is nothing compared to that. So, I mean, just think about that and buy locally. Go to your local farmer's market. There's going to be somebody there, I promise, who's going to have some fresh honey. And I'm going to tell you, fresh honey tastes much better than anything that you'll buy boxed up and bottled at the store, and you don't know where it came from. It's just local stuff. Okay, let's see. In this chapter, we're going to learn the remarkable and bounty little honeybee by looking at its history and the value it brings to our lives. He's also going to discuss the benefits of beekeeping and why you should consider it as a hobby or even a small business venture. So I'm making a business out of it. Of course, Phil's not surprised, but I really do. I want to do that. So I've started out with 2. We're about to have 2 more beehives. And also my friend Yappy. Yappy is a beekeeper, has been a beekeeper for a long time. So I'm going to talk him to let him go with him when he is actually going out getting bees. I may wish I hadn't done that. But anyway, Yappy said, yeah, I said, we'll just do a video. So that'll be on live too. So anyway, that's going to be really interesting. Because I know my bees are friendly. I'm not sure that other people's bees are going to be friendly. It also discusses the environmental conditions for raising bees and ends with a checklist that you can find and see if beekeeping is for you. So what I'm going to do is going ahead and get to the beekeeping. But I wanted to mention this. Now, this is for you folks. You may live in Birmingham. You may live in one of the other states, 50 states. But I wanted to mention this to you. If you live in a subdivision, for instance, and one of my beekeeping guys told me about this. He said he knew somebody in Birmingham who had bees. And so he lived next to this guy who has a swimming pool. Well, bees love chlorine bleach. There's something about it that attracts them. I put just a little bit in water for them every day. I like to give them fresh water every day. Now, they'll sometimes swim out to the pond. We have a pond that's about an acre. And sometimes they'll swim out there or fly out there and get water. But they most likely will go where they can find chlorine. So if you give them water fresh out of the faucet, they love it. But I collect rainwater. So what I like to do is put in maybe about 5 gallons of water. I'm going to put a couple of tablespoons of chlorine bleach in it and make sure you stir it up really good. And they'll just come to it like a magnet. And it's good for them. Their little digestive systems absolutely love it. But what I was going to say is it's probably you'll want to, if you live in a subdivision and you have neighbors who have pools, swimming pools, guess what's in a swimming pool? Chlorine. And they are attracted like magnets. So this one guy, his neighbor, called and complained and said, I need you to get your bees away from here because his bees were getting in. I shouldn't be laughing about that, but they were getting in the swimming pool. And so he said, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? What am I going to do? So he found a kiddie pool and put water in it. And then he put a little bit of bleach in it, just a little bit now, okay? You don't want them you don't want it to kill them, but you want just enough to where they can kind of smell it. Per about 5 gallons, maybe a couple of tablespoons of chlorine bleach in it. And again, stir it up really good. And so I said, well, did that fix it? And he said, that did it. He said, they just, you don't want them going into somebody else's, because what they could do is call another beekeeper and say, hey, come get these bees. They're making a menace, because not everybody thinks they're sweet and warm and fuzzy like we do. So just make sure that you do that as well. Okay, organic beekeeping. What is organic beekeeping? You think anything beekeeping is organic. Well, let's take a look at it. It's not the same as natural beekeeping, okay? You said Winnie the Pooh, where Winnie the Pooh is out in the forest and he sticks his hand in a tree and he's eating honey, okay? That's more like your natural beekeeping. And if you live out on a farm, and Phil and I are going to do this one day when we don't have like 1,000 things going on. I just want to go and look on this 38 acres and see if there's a beehive somewhere. I bet there is, because my grandmother used to have honeybees here back in the day. And so she would rob them. So there are a lot of written criteria available on what constitutes organic beekeeping. Okay, so this material is currently being developed for publication by various branches of the U.S. government. And by the way, you can get in touch with the U.S. government and see if they have anything available. I don't know that they do, but see if they have anything available that might be possible for you if you'd like to do beekeeping. Okay, combining approach. Oh, by the way, you can get in touch with the United States Department of Agriculture. Okay, now I wanted to mention allergies, because I don't necessarily have allergies, but I have asthma. And so I'm looking forward to robbing these bees, because I think it's going to help me with my asthma as well. Now, allergies. If you're going to become a beekeeper, you can expect to get stung once in a while. It's just a fact of life. But when you adopt good habits as a beekeeper, you can minimize or even eliminate the chances that you'll be stung. Like I said, I just got stung just one time. And it was because a bee, I was taking I had my jeans and my t-shirt on, but you have to wear this outfit, this beekeeper's outfit. And it has elastic, and they'll swarm all around you and everything. And but it keeps you from being stung, because you're taking the food away from them when you start robbing the bees. But a bee was actually, and I didn't catch it, there was a bee on my sleeve. And so when I took that off, he just came down and he stung me. So I've been stung one time. And that wasn't his little fella's fault, it was mine. And by the way, they don't want to sting you. They're going to give you all kinds of chances, because if they sting you, they die. Okay, it's not like a crazy wasp. Wasp I hate. Okay, a wasp is going to just keep stinging. He's going to go ding, 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 ding. I mean, just as many times as he wants to on you. And he's just not going to stop. But with a bee, it's one sting, and then they die. So I just want to mention that. Now, all bee stings can hurt just a little bit, but not for long. It's natural to experience some swelling and some itching and some redness. These are normal. They're non-allergic reactions. When that little fella stung me, it didn't go numb or anything, but it just swelled up just a little bit. And this is for folks who were raised in the country, probably know what I'm talking about. And I'm going to buy some snuff. Just think, you know what snuff is? Snuff is gross. It's disgusting. I would have never dated a guy who dip snuff. But anyway, snuff is like the best thing you can use on bee stings. My granddad used to just keep it, because he was allergic to bees and to wasps and all that kind of stuff. So he always kept some in the medicine cabinet. So if one of us got stung or whatever, what he would do is he'd get that snuff and he'd put it in a little bit, he'd dampen it, and he'd put it in just a little bit of water, and then he'd put it on the sting right here. And do you know that stuff would actually take the sting away? I mean, it didn't hurt anymore when you put that on there. And chewing tobacco sounds gross to some of you folks who are listening to this, but chewing tobacco works too. So anyway, for whatever that's worth, but it really does work. So if you just want to buy some and then just keep it in your medicine cabinet, just in case you get stung from anything, not just honeybees, but anything, it will take that out. So the most severe and life-threatening reactions to bee stings occur in less than 1% of the population. So the chances that you're dangerously allergic to honeybee venom are remote. And if you're uncertain, check with an allergist who can determine whether you're among the relatively few who should steer clear of beekeeping. And then also in chapter 3 is more information too about stings we can have. Okay, folks, I'm going to have to call it a day. It's going to be another awesome show tomorrow. I can hardly wait to talk to you. AP Statham is going to be with us. And he has a new talk show coming up, and we hope to be able to get something worked out where we're going to air it here as well. So AP Statham will be with us, and I'm really excited to talk with him. So anyway, we'll be talking to you guys later. Show's coming up next. This is going to be one that we had actually last week, and I'm really excited about that as well. So the traffic and the weather report will be coming up tomorrow. So I look forward to seeing you then. Hope you have an awesome day. And make sure you stay tuned for the next show coming in just a few minutes. I promise you. I think there's something else real quick. Right here.
Don't tell me about that mountain. Don't tell me about that mountain. Tell that mountain about me. Don't tell me about that mountain. Don't tell me about that mountain. Tell that mountain about me. Don't tell me about that mountain. Don't tell me about that mountain. Tell that mountain about me. Don't tell me about that mountain. Don't tell me about that mountain. Tell that mountain about me. I said, God, you gotta move this mountain. I just don't see it any other way. I'm too weak to make the climb. I need a miracle this time. That's when I heard the voice from heaven say, don't tell me about that mountain. Tell that mountain about me. Face your feet, shout my name, proclaim the victory. You said you raised, now take a stand. Get up on your knees. You told me about that mountain. Now tell the mountain about me. Introduce the problem to the answer, and you will see that problem step aside. There's no place for fear. The God of heaven is near. Step out in faith and face it eye to eye. Don't tell me about that mountain. Tell that mountain about me. Face your fear, shout my name, proclaim the victory. You said you will. Now take a stand, get up off your knees. You about me. Face your fears, shout my name, proclaim the victory. Don't tell me about that mountain, tell that mountain about me. Face your fears, shout my name, proclaim the victory. You've said your prayers, now take a stand, get up on your knees. You told me about that mountain, now tell that mountain about me. Don't tell me about that mountain. I said, God, you gotta move this mountain. I just don't see it any other way. I'm too weak to make the climb. I need a miracle this time. That's when I heard the voice from heaven say, don't tell me about that mountain, tell that mountain about me. Face your feet, shout my name, proclaim the victory. You said your prayers, now take a stand, get up on your knees. You told me about that mountain, now tell the mountain about me. Introduce the problem to the answer, and you will see that problem step aside. There's no place for fear, the God of heaven is near. Step out in faith and face it eye to eye. Don't tell me about that mountain, tell that mountain about me. Face your fear, shout my name, proclaim the victory. You said your prayers, now take a stand, get up on your knees. You told me about that mountain, now tell the mountain about me.
Good afternoon. We are back. My name is Donna Feazell, and I'm your host of Afternoon Drive Home on IC in Christ Radio. We're your source for news and entertainment. You can also find us on television, channel 182 on Charter Communications. We've got attorney Don Brown with me right there. I do love the background, Don. You need to unmute. Okay, I can't hear you.
Okay. Hey, Donna.
There you go. Great seeing you today. How have you been?
Good to see you. All good. I'm on the road, so a little bit of a different background, but I'm glad to be with you. I think we've got some good things to talk about. Hopefully, hope all y'all have been well in Alabama, and what a great day it is.
Absolutely. Well, I'll tell you what, I've turned into quite the farm girl.
There you go. Why not? Why not, right?
Well, the high gas prices, you got to do something.
Well, those gas prices are going to follow the Democrats all the way to the polls in November. So it's just a matter of biding our time. So let's just bide the time best we can and go to it from there.
I think so. But it's hard to stay positive, though, when you go to those gas pumps.
That's fact. I mean, I had to run up to, I've been on the road a bit, so I'm feeling it personally. But hey, you just do the best you can and pray that it changes soon.
I think so. I think it will. We're all fired up and ready to see a change. Absolutely. So what did you think about the new abortion law?
If you're asking me what I think about the Supreme Court's ruling.
I know. I'm just always so, things happen. How's it really going to affect us?
Well, the first thing is that it is constitutionally correct. And, as has been pointed out, as Jonathan Turley pointed out, as Alan Dershowitz has said, even Ruth Bader Ginsburg and even Lawrence Tribe, all three of those four, not really counting Jonathan Turley, are really, really, really liberal jurists. One was on the Supreme Court, and have all pointed out the constitutional flaws with the original Roe decision as it was drafted. And we talked about this before, but I got into a kind of a discussion with a waitress the other day at a local hangout that I attended in Charlotte, and she was all upset. This was the night before the Dobbs case came down, overturning Roe. She was upset that Supreme Court would protect guns but not abortion. She said, am I missing something? I said, probably. What am I missing? She says, well, for one thing, guns are in the Constitution and guaranteed by the United States Constitution and the Second Amendment. Abortion, like separation of church and state, simply is not there. So, there is no constitutional right to it. But the way this case was drafted was a train wreck from the beginning. There's some historical lessons to learn here. And one is the Supreme Court has often gotten it wrong. My friend Rick Joyner was talking yesterday, and he pointed out that a lot of the biggest problems we've had in this country are because of horrible Supreme Court decisions. And if you go back to even Dred Scott, which basically said that Black people could not be citizens in 1856, and then Plessy versus Ferguson, another Supreme Court decision that justified separate versus equals, later overturned by Brown versus Board of Education. But the point of the matter is, this is another in a long example of a disastrous case that had been decided by the court, finally overturned. Yesterday, in fact, this week has been a great week for the Supreme Court. I've been critical of them for certain things that I won't say, so I don't want to get you banned from whatever you're on. But this was a great week for the Supreme Court.
Is it too late for that?
That's well, like we said, whenever you get banned by certain liberal outlets, you explode in other areas. So maybe we should try to ban you a little more in some of those places. But this has been a great week for the court. Clarence Thomas, in his opinion, was talking about the expansion of what we call the substantive due process part. See, due process in the Constitution is found both in the Fifth Amendment and in the 14th Amendment. And basically it says that no state of the United States can deprive a person of life, liberty, or property without due process of law. And due process, as it is meant constitutionally, is what we call procedural due process. In other words, there's a procedure in place. You can't take somebody's life, liberty, or property without a trial or a hearing. But the court went off the rail and come up with the substantive due process thing so they can lick their finger, stick it in the air, and make up basically any right they want to make. And so, leading up to this Roe case, you had a case called Griswold versus Connecticut. That was the contraceptive case where they said there's a constitutional right to contraceptives, basically. And they came up with this phrase called the penumbras of the emanations. And from that, they built the Roe case. And both cases were disastrous. Clarence Thomas mentioned in his concurring opinion, that it's time to revisit some of these substantive cases, including Griswold and Obergefell, which is the homosexual marriage case. But the point of the matter is the Supreme Court doesn't have the authority simply to make up constitutional rights or to make up rights or to make law. And that's what it's been doing. You're seeing an example of the whole debate versus judicial activism versus judicial restraint, where judges are supposed to interpret the Constitution and interpret the law. So the court got this right by a vote of 5-4. Some think it's 6-3. Actually, we can't give Chief Justice Roberts that much credit. He did vote to uphold the Mississippi law next door to you there, but he also wanted to have a quote unquote more measured approach when it comes to Roe. In other words, he wanted to keep it in place, and so it's really a 5-4 decision. You can credit Donald Trump for the justices he selected. I've not always been happy with them, but they've done pretty good on this. And now some religious liberty cases that are coming down. We got another one breaking today from the football coach. There's a win there. The coach can pray. And so we're seeing some judicial wrongs now being righted in this last few days before the court goes on recess. So I couldn't be happier. This is an answer to prayer. It does not ban or outlaw abortion. We do need to ban and outlaw abortion. This doesn't do it, but it sets us on the right course for having states to decide, where we can have the debate on abortion. My personal view is that the Supreme Court eventually must take it a step further and eventually declare that life begins at conception, because it does. And I've mentioned this perhaps to you and in other interviews I've had, but when you look at other areas of the law in America, when you look at the law of intestate succession, which is the law of inheritance, basically. So if you have a father whose child is conceived, and if he dies the day after conception, that child is born 9 months later, has every right to inherit from that father under the law of intestate succession. That is our common law of the United States. Also in the criminal area, if a woman is murdered or, and is carrying a child, regardless of the stage of the pregnancy, or if there is an accident where there's on the road where someone gets in a car wreck, That's 2 deaths that we count, not 1. So in the law of personal injury, law of torts, law of intestate succession, we recognize that life begins at conception already. And eventually the Supreme Court is going to need to do that. And that's what we've got to press for. But this is still a great day. And it's a great day for the Constitution. It's a great day. It's a great week for the Supreme Court, which is now redeemed itself. And we thank the Lord for answered prayer. This has been 50 years into coming. I don't know if anything, I heard John Moreau, a preacher here in Charlotte yesterday, or maybe Rick Jordan. I heard both, went to 2 sermons yesterday. So I heard both my friends, John Moreau at Calvary and Rick Jordan at Morningstar, went from one to the other, both talking about the Roe case. One of them said, I think it might have been Rick, that probably no case has been prayed for as much as this case. It is the greatest day in our lifetime for the Supreme Court, Donna, the greatest day in our lifetime. So there have been some other good decisions they made. Bush versus Gore, 20 some years ago was on mark, and some other ones have been made, even in the civil rights arena. But there are cases where they've gone overboard. Roe was such a case. Obergefell was such a case. Griswold versus Connecticut was such a case. So we'll have to see what goes from here. The left is, trying to already plot their typical new modus operandi: whine, complain, scream, yell, make fools of themselves, riot in the streets, burn things down. But that's kind of growing old, and I think people are going to sort of catch on to their shit here pretty soon. So it's a long answer to a short question.
I'm kind of tired of that reaction. I mean, first of all, it's completely childish, that you would react that way to anything. I mean, I wasn't happy when President Trump lost the election, which I still don't think he did, but I wasn't happy, but I didn't burn things down. I didn't get on Facebook and create.
Well, your thoughts on that are 1,000% on Mark. I could guarantee that to you. He did not lose the election, but nonetheless, and this is what communists do. They riot in the streets. They try to intimidate. They try to use force. I mean, here they were camping out in front of. There was an assassination attempt against Justice Kavanaugh. They're camping out in front of Justice Barrett and Kobe Barrett's house. The liberals the other day, the new phrase is doxing. They gave the address for Clarence Thomas' home address. I am so thankful that those justices did not cave, because as we have talked before, had they caved, and you and I were concerned about this, but had they caved, the Supreme Court would have lost every bit of its credibility. And the left can do what it can do. It's interesting because I've been watching Bill Maher recently, a left-wing guy, but has more common sense than a lot of them these days. And he made the point that it's the woke approach that the left is taking that's killing them. They don't even talk about, abortion for women is for birthing people, because now they want to imagine men can have abortions, I guess, but they're so crazy that they just blow all their credibility. And frankly, I heard, I'm Lindsey Graham, our senator here in South Carolina. I'm not always happy with him. I was very disappointed with his vote and some of the other Republicans voting for these gun control laws the other day. But he did make a point that I agree with, and he said that when November rolls around, it's the economy, gas prices, and inflation that people are going to be thinking about, not abortion. Abortion doesn't affect most of us, and even in the cases, the most horrific cases that the left tries to decide always, like rape and incest, it's such a small, thimble, drop in the ocean minority. It just doesn't affect most of us. So the left, thinking they're going to ride this to turning this election around in November, I think they got another thought coming, but they got to try something. So buckle in and get ready.
Well, let's talk about what exactly this does mean, because there are so many uninformed people out there placing stupid stuff on Facebook about, abortion is ended. It's not. So let's go into a little bit more deeper detail about
it. The left-wing leaders like Nancy Pelosi are spreading those kind of lies, like abortion is banned. Abortion is not banned. There has been, effective Friday afternoon when this decision came down, the laws in every state, unless the state legislature has now moved to change the law, basically have remained the same. Even in Mississippi, which had put a 15-week cap on abortion, that law was actually upheld because the state decided to do that, but the Supreme Court at the same time overturned Roe. So abortion is probably just about as legal in most states now as it was before. The difference is that it is not considered to be a federalized concept. So therefore, when states want to tighten down more or provide more restrictions against it. They can't turn around. I mean, the radicals, the abortionists can't turn around and cite Roe versus Wade and claim it's some kind of constitutional right. It never was a constitutional right to begin with. So it gives states more power to regulate. And that's where the battles will take place. And what we already are seeing is that the blue states are probably going to have abortion right after birth. I mean, they're crazy. You take the former governor of Virginia that just left before Youngkin was elected. Former governor of Virginia was saying that it's basically okay to abort the baby after birth. Ralph Northam, okay to abort the baby after birth. And this guy was a doctor. And this is a very, very radical position the Democrats have taken. It's just going to boomerang on them. And the madder they get, the more radical they get. And so let them spout and fume. But to answer the question for your viewers who may not understand, abortion was not outlawed by the United States Supreme Court. Roe versus Wade was overturned. The United States Supreme Court correctly said, now, as we all knew, it is not a constitutional right. It was never a constitutional right to begin with. The Constitution doesn't mention it. You know, the Constitution basically gives the federal government power in three areas only. One is national defense, one is foreign affairs, and one is the regulation of interstate commerce. And so from interstate commerce, we have the post office. You know, from national defense, we have the Department of Army and the Navy and the delegation between Congress and the presidency. And, with foreign affairs, you know, the president is to be in the Congress through treaties, work together to deal with the foreign affairs so as 50 states, we are solid in our relations with other nations. But there's no Department of Education. Education is the role of the federal government. Healthcare is not a role of the federal government. And abortion isn't healthcare, even though the liberals try to make you think it is. Abortion is the unjustified taking of human life, which I always have contended is protected by the Fifth Amendment. You cannot deprive one of life, liberty, or property without due process. These babies have no due process. Supreme Court did not touch on that. Supreme Court must touch on that. This is the thrust we must push. This is a due process question. And that's why I don't know if the liberals are going to try to pass something to Congress or not, but it is the deprivation of the baby's right to life without due process. You simply can't take life without due process. So I think I'm probably out in front on this, probably more than some others. But this is the angle that we've got to go at. We've got to go at it from a due process angle, and we have to understand we got to go even further. But this is not to take away from a great, horrible stench and sinful, act that a branch of the United States government embraced in Roe, and now we have been relieved from it. It's almost like 1,000 tons of bricks lifted from our shoulders.
I think so. I think so too. And then, when you go by the whole argument of follow the science, which we all had to go through, wearing masks and getting the jab and those kinds of things.
Science,
well,
right.
It's called follow the science. It depends on emotion. It depends on what they're after that day.
Well, the whole pro-abortion argument is based upon anger and emotion, not based upon science or logic, and certainly not upon the Constitution. Mm-hmm. And when you follow the science, even the science confirms life begins at conception. I mean, that is scientifically proven. You have a new human form, albeit an embryo form, with a unique set of genetic design, unlike anyone in the world, who will grow and grow and grow. And that embryo is a living baby, still yet undeveloped, but yet a living baby. And we also know from the science, and I was reading an article on this the other day. I think it was the New England Journal of Medicine. I can't remember but it was a writer from a respected medical journal talking about the pain that babies feel when they're being aborted, when they have the arms ripped off, when they're having the suction cups, pull their heads off. They try to fight the abortionist, and we can see that now because of these ultrasounds. And yet the angry abortionists want to turn out of that. They want to paint it as if the woman's right to her body, or you're attacking the health care of women. Well, yeah, you're attacking the health care of women by performing the abortion, because half the babies that are killed are going to be women. But hey, don't point that obvious logic out. It's like President Reagan once said, and he said this so persuasively and succinctly as he often did. He said, well, one thing I noticed about everybody who supports abortion, not one of them were ever aborted themselves. Ronald Reagan, circa about 1980. It was true then and it's true now.
I just had to respond to, and normally I don't respond to any of it. I'm just like, well, you're just stupid and there's nothing I can say that's going to make you see, when you're making a dumb remark. So this one lady, it was a video, this guy was interviewing her and she was yelling, it was my body. She was just like yelling it. And she looked, not so attractive. I had to respond. I said, lady, I don't think you're ever going to have that problem. I had to. Oh, I got a bunch of likes on that. I thought, well, I'll get attacked again. But but it's usually that type, and they make such a farce out of it. Again, they're ruled, but their whole life goes by emotion. It's just, it's and it doesn't take much to make them spark.
Emotion, and most of that emotion is anger. Very special. It isn't the emotion of love or compassion or empathy. It's anger. 99% probably anger. And it doesn't play well. It's like sandpaper to the conscience of most people. So, and I also do believe, Donna, we have turned a corner in terms of the public's attitude towards abortion. If you do believe the polls, most Americans do not favor abortion after 15 weeks, for example. And then when you get down into the nitty gritty of and so that shows that there's a consciousness to it already. And I think, as I say, with a whole generation now of mothers and young dads seeing their babies on ultrasound, hey, it's the old saying, a picture's worth 1,000 words, and those pictures are worth more than 1,000 words.
Yeah, if you want to go by emotion, that's a good way to do it right there. And I love my friends' grandparents and people who they're going to have some grandkids, and they're so proud to put those sonograms out there on Facebook, and I just think it's pretty awesome, that you'd be able to see them at that really.
Oh yeah, no doubt. So, it's a great day. November 2020 was not great, and January was not great, but the Lord is still in control, and I think it's going to get better. We're going to have to fight through some things to get there, but I think it will.
Well, this thing did start, I'm going to say decades and decades ago. I remember being in school, and two girls I went to school with were pregnant. And so, really, back then, this is in the 70s, we thought, well, it's just another form of birth control. It wasn't right, but it was just, but that's before we got to see the sonograms. That's before you can see pictures of what that baby looks like sucking its thumb.
You're right.
Twins holding hands. That's because I was guilty of that. I thought the same thing. I thought, well, it's just, whatever.
Well, but you thought that, Donna, because you're hearing stuff on the news. You're hearing these radicals speak. There were not sonograms at the time. And most people are busy. You hear a sound bite, oh, that makes sense.
Yeah.
But when you dig down into it, it is indefensible. Indefensible. And some of the most powerful interviews that we see are interviews of adults now who survived abortions. So one lady the other day on Fox who had survived the saline abortion, and another who was born prematurely while they were trying to commit the abortion. And I heard Tim Scott the other day, the good senator from South Carolina. Lindsay's another ball of wax, but Tim Scott, who I think you could see on Trump's ticket, by the way. But Tim Scott, born poor, born into poverty, he spoke and he said, "What's this argument? Just because you're born a poor mother shouldn't have a child?" I said, "I was born poor. The way you're talking about there, you're saying my life isn't worth it. My life should have been aborted." I mean, it gets personal when that sort of thing happens. And every one of their arguments fails. But the truth always emerges sooner or later. And it will
the biggest liberal of all, the biggest liberal ever, Cher. Did you know that her mother wanted to abort her?
I was not aware of that.
Yeah.
You would think.
Oh, yeah, look at that. Yeah. You'd think she would, just like you're about to say.
Yeah. You would think that, but they're blinded. It's a matter of spiritual blindness. They don't know what they're doing. They can't see what they're seeing. But nonetheless, the truth will set them free sooner or later. And you would just keep bringing the truth forward, keep praying and speaking boldly, and sooner or later, right will prevail over wrong.
Well, this is another thing, and you've brought this up before in previous shows. When you're being sold something, it's for somebody else's benefit. So we've all been sold the idea of abortion as being convenient for the mother. And it's not a human, it's a blob. You're being sold ideas.
Oh yeah.
And so, I mean, if the age I'm at now, I know when I'm being sold something, that makes me step back and go, what's in it for you? I mean, you really have to have that mentality about things nowadays.
And one of the false sales narratives that they put out there is this is an attack on women. Well, I'm talking to you, you're a woman and you're pro-life. And as a matter of fact, most of the major pro-life organizations in America are run by women. You know, my friend Penny Nance, Concerned Women for America, you know, I mean, Phyllis Schlafly. I mean, you go right down the line. Many of my very good friend Janet Porter, who I would love for you to interview sometime. Janet has been single-handedly responsible for the passage of just about every heartbeat bill in the United States. She's going to Texas, she's going to Ohio, she's going to state after state, and lobbied hard for heartbeat bills. In other words, cut the abortion when there's a heartbeat. If you're not going to, that's with pre-Roe. Now, it's a different animal now with pre-Roe. But my point is that the notion that this is more attack on women, come on, it's women, it's many great Christian, evangelical, conservative women who are leading the charge. And it is actually an attack against women because of the depression that it leads to, because of the second guessing, because sometimes, as I have read and understand, of the trauma that goes on in the abortion room, the substandard facilities, the bleeding, some have nearly bled to death. It is an attack on women for money, power, and to shake their fist in the face of a holy God. That's what it's all about when you get right into the motivation of it. And it is time for the federal government to cut forever the funding to Planned Parenthood. It's not going to happen probably until we get full Republican control of Congress and the White House again. And we're going to have conservative control too, because we saw this red flag gun legislation passed by the Senate. We've got too many rhinos in the Senate, which is why it's crucial to continue to push for conservatives, real conservatives at every level of government. But Planned Parenthood, every dime needs to be pulled away from it. I don't want my taxpayers going for that junk. And my tax dollars, excuse me, and I know you don't either. So there are still battles to fight, and we still have to keep marching forward, but we've got the wind in our sails now. So, and the ship is turning in the right direction.
I think so too. Let's talk just for a few minutes about adoption and how easy it needs to be easier. I know there was a time, I don't think you can go to Russia now and adopt children at this point in time.
You can in Russia, but I'm glad you brought that up, because I have represented for a number of years a significant Christian adoption agency here in Charlotte, and our adoptions have been primarily from Eastern Europe. So we know what's going on in Russia. I was involved in an adoption case in Belarus about 20 years ago, and Lukashenko was still in power then as he is now, and had just shut down adoptions to the United States. But there are a number of foreign nations which would welcome American parents adopting. But part of the problem is, I'm going to tell you what part of the problem is. During the Obama era, the State Department cracked down against it and issued regulations against these Christian adoption agencies to make it almost impossible to adopt. We were fighting these State Department regulations. They put together these private public companies to oversee and serve as supervisory agencies for the adoption agencies, basically shut it down. And so the current State Department is not pro-adoption, even for international adoptions. But it's not just international adoptions to focus on, it's domestic adoptions as well. But adoptions are not what the left want. They want kids killed. That's really what they want. But there are so many parents. That's it. Yeah, that's what they want. There's so many parents out there that either can't conceive naturally, or they have a heart for more kids. And we have got to, both internationally and domestically, we have got to take action to make that course easier than it has been.
Yeah, because it's been a horrible way. Now, my daughter-in-law is from Russia, And so my son really married into an awesome family. And so they went to Russia to pick up Larissa and her two sisters. They wound up with three, but now this was years and years ago. So, and it's not easy done now, but I would like to see it easier for people. And I want to mention two people who are my heroes in life. And the first one I tell you is going to shock you. This is the woman who doesn't want her baby. This woman can be a hero. And this is that the woman goes through with it. But and there's the reason she doesn't want the baby. She feels maybe some emotion down inside her. She's not good enough to be a mother, or it could be finances, financial. She just can't afford to have a child. But that mother that goes on ahead and she has that baby is a hero to me. And then the second hero is the person who adopts that baby.
Absolutely.
There's two heroes there.
I put in a plug for my client here in Charlotte, St. Mary's International Adoption. They're a Christian adoption agency. And so everything is done seeking, Christian parents to adopt. And this is why the State Department went to war against it. But if, any of your listeners out there are thinking to adopt, look up St. Mary's International Adoption in Charlotte. They're run by Christians, and there are other good ones out there as well. But I just felt led to do that. And you just never know. We have seen kids brought together with their Christian parents in America who had been left in orphanages in Eastern Europe. And so, but that's something, if any of your listeners are called to that, pray about it and do it. It's one of the greatest ways to combat the scourge of abortion by giving birth mothers an opportunity to save the baby's life and to give the baby an opportunity for a life And I don't subscribe to the idea that a baby born in poverty doesn't have an opportunity for a good life, because the Lord can do what the Lord wants to do. But at the same time, we do want to encourage adoptions. Adoption is what we've been adopted through Christ. We've been grafted into the vines. And so it is a pure Christian and biblical concept. And I'd served on the board of another adoption agency in Charlotte as well. So I'm no longer on that board, but it's a topic that is near and dear to my heart.
Well, it seems that it's very expensive from what I've heard people, and it's a long-term process.
Yes, it's expensive in part because of the home studies that have to be done, and then depending on where you're adopting from, certain countries have very high fees if you go internationally, and then you got to do the right thing sometimes to help take care of the birth mother during transition. Then there are medical examinations that have to be paid for. So it is certainly a sacrifice on the part of the adopting parent, but it's much more of a blessing than a sacrifice. But it's worth looking into, and it's something that we really should be focusing on a lot more every time the abortion word comes up, because the left acts as if adoption is not an option or an alternative, and they downplay it as much as they can. But really, in many, many cases, it's a solution.
Mm-hmm. It is a huge solution. I love adoption because my daughter-in-law has brought so much sunshine into our lives. Absolutely. Right. Don, let's go into a commercial break, and we'll be right back in just a few minutes. And by the way, Don, you can go ahead and you can turn the video off, stop the video, and then turn it back on when we come back from the commercial break.
Will do. We'll see you in a second. Thanks.
Okay. All right, folks, let's go ahead and go into the commercial break. We are going to return in just a few minutes. So y'all hang in there. Okay. We'll be right back.
Don't tell me about that mountain. Don't tell me about that mountain. Tell that mountain about me. Don't tell me about that mountain.
back. My name is Donna Feazell, and I'm your host of Afternoon Drive Home on IC and Price Radio. We are your source for news and entertainment. You can also find us on television, channel 182 on Charter Communications. We appreciate you being with us every day, Monday through Friday from 1 to 3 p.m. Central, as I get to be right home with you in the afternoon. It's always an honor and it's always a pleasure. And I wanted to make a couple, waiting on Don to come back in. And let's see if I can tell him to go ahead. And there he is. He's coming back in. So that's Attorney Don Brown. He is an author and he is a speaker. And it's always a great guy to have on the show. Don, I wanted to mention we had a runoff election. And this is just a few days ago. And I'm going to have to tell you how disappointed I am. And I'm going to read some stats to you. Let me ask you what you think about this. Okay, this is from the election night results. This is from our Alabama Secretary of State, John Merrill's website. And there are a total of 3,647,310 folks who are registered voters for the state of Alabama. 3 million, okay? We're hitting close to 4 million. And by the way, that number is way up because it used to be a lot less than that. Total ballots cast. This is going to freak you out. Listen to this, 464,715. That means voter turnout was 12.74%. 12.74%.
Yeah.
It all depended on voter turnout.
It does, right? It does. Well, Donna, we see lower turnout in primaries in non-presidential election years. But you're talking about close to 4 million registered voters in Alabama with 400,000 voting. You're barely at 10%. And here's the thing: we as Christians are leaving. We're leaving votes on the table. I know in Florida, I had some friends who were heading an organization to get Christians out to vote in the last 2 presidential elections. Of course, Trump took Florida because of that. And first off, I don't want liberals voting. I want believers voting, and I'll tell you why. Because they've got a right to vote, but you might have a right to go drink a bunch of liquor and crank a car. When you get in that car and start driving down the road, you're going to cause damage, and leftists voting communists are going to cause damage. But Christians, when you give me a number like that, I'll lay it at the feet of the church. To be honest with you.
I do too. I really do. So what are your thoughts about that? So we had a pastor in Alabama before we moved to Charlotte, North Carolina. This guy to me was perfect pastor. Now, he didn't tell anybody how to vote, okay? But what he did is he would bring ballots to church. And he would say, some of you are not educated as to how this candidate is. And so he would tell, what the money, who spent money on them. Follow the money, we hear about that. And also their views. And he would say, you need to only vote for people who have Christian views.
Right.
And you really study that person. You need to go watch them. You need to talk with them, go to their events and ask questions. Most of them don't do that because they're afraid they're going to lose some tithe.
It's ridiculous. I was with Tony Perkins recently, who is the head of the Family Policy Council nationally. He was talking about the project they had done several years ago, encouraging pastors around the country to preach political sermons and then send those sermons to the IRS. And these are conservative pastors and dare the IRS to do anything. You know what? The IRS did nothing because constitutionally, they can't do anything. They can bark about separation of church and state. These preachers can worry about losing their tax exempt status. It is not going to happen. Liberal churches have been doing this for years. And we got to have boldness from the pulpit. I mean, we've got to have boldness. If Joe Biden is advocating abortion, our preachers say this guy is advocating killing babies. He should not be elected. Our evangelical pastors have to be that bold. This wishy-washiness and tiptoeing around. And what your guy did, he's doing far more than most will do. So I commend him for that. So I'm not being critical. I'm just saying, but for most pastors, I am being critical. And And we have got to be bold about it. And our pastors, just like the prophets that the Lord called, in the ancient days of Israel, who spoke boldly against evil, we have got to do that. Because when you look, go read through the book of Kings. Whenever you've got an evil government or an evil king, that's an evil government, the people suffer. And I understand that to a degree, where who we elect is a product of who we are. But yet, when you give me statistics like you did a moment ago, about a tenth of Alabama's registered voters voting in a primary, that tells me that our people are sitting on the sidelines. And for the church, that is inexcusable. And if you're a pastor out there, you hear me now. You speak boldly. Stop the wishy-washiness. Tell the truth. If these politicians are supporting things that are shaking a fist in the face of a holy God, you call them out and encourage your people to throw them out if you have to do it. Mm-hmm. And we've got to resist evil, and it's got to start in the churches. And if it doesn't, we're in for a long slide. I'm hoping we're beginning to see a change in that.
I hope so, but I was so disappointed. Of course, I voted and Phil voted.
Right.
I mean, it's just something you do. I mean, it's just part of life. You vote. But most folks will say, well, I'm just going to wait until the general election. Well, by then, who's left on the ballot? That's why we had a runoff election. And some folks won in this runoff election that I didn't vote for.
Well, you see, here's the danger about that, Donna. I mean, the danger is because of the turnout is sometimes so low in runoffs, your nominee could be a nutcase. Mm-hmm. You don't wait till the general election, then you've got a choice of one nutcase against another because you didn't do anything to stop it when the primary came along. So that's a message that we've got to get out. And as primaries approach, we've got to get that message out. We got to get the church out, both in the primary and general election. So we've got to be solid. We've got to be unified. In a loving manner, we've got to be solid and unified and not budge and not be deterred by the fact they're going to call us a racist, a homophobe, a bigot, a this or that, a thisophobe, and a thatophobe. Because these words, they mean nothing. They mean nothing.
Yeah, well, we've waited too late now. They don't have much of a choice here in Alabama when it comes to the general election. I wanted to ask you a question about this. And I've talked to a number of people who were just really disgusted with the people we did have running. And then they said, well, I'm just not going to vote because of that. I just don't feel like we have a choice. And I said, well, I'm voting anyway. And in one of the races, I did pick the lesser of the two evils. I really did.
Well, I mean, sometimes you got to do that. I mean, you've got to sometimes, I mean, we have some nutcase Republicans in the U.S. Senate. We do. Mitt Romney, and you got John Cornyn. You get about 19 of them that voted for gun control, but they also voted to approve the 3 Supreme Court justices that just overturned Roe. So it's not a perfect situation under which we're operating. Certainly not at all. And sometimes you do have to pick the lesser two evils. And some people that want to complain about having nobody on the ballot, go run yourself. I know that's easier said than done, but go run yourself. And if you got to pick the lesser of two evils, pick it.
Mm-hmm. That's what I say, if that's a choice you've got. So let me ask another question. And this is from boots on the ground. Okay. I'm out there with everybody. I'm out there with the real people. So this is what I'm hearing. I don't like Democrats and I don't like Republicans either. I mean, are we ready for a third party? I asked you this 3 years ago.
Well, I think in some ways we have a third party already. It's called MAGA. Although it isn't registered as a separate third party from the Republican Party, but it is a movement within the Republican Party. And there's clearly a division within the Republican Party right now between conservatives and the rhinos. So it does exist. The problem you get into, it goes back to what you were saying a minute ago. If you're a candidate, like for example, in Pennsylvania, I mean, I liked Kathy Barnett. She was the young Black woman that spoke boldly. She was the most pro-life candidate of the three. And now you got Dr. Oz. Looks like your nominee. Dr. Oz is of Turkish origin. He served in the Turkish military. He is a young guy. I don't like any of that. He says the right things. But if I were in Pennsylvania, I'm not voting for the Democrat. I mean, I would make that choice to keep the Democrat, because what you have to understand, you might not like somebody as a Republican. You might, and we have 2 senators here in North Carolina. I know Tom, I don't know Richard Burr. I've been very disappointed in a lot of their votes. They follow the McConnell line. They both voted for gun control, as did John Cornyn, as did Lindsey Graham, as did Mitch Romney, as did Mitch McConnell, as did a number of them did. But it's better than the Democrat alternative. I mean, you look at what the Supreme Court would be. I mean, even these rhinos have generally voted the right way on Supreme Court nominees. So we got to get over this business. I'm not going to vote for anybody because I don't like either one of them. And to say that it doesn't make a difference usually is not true. We're disgusted with a moderate wing Republican Party because they want to reach their hands out to the Democrats. They get in bed with the Democrats on certain issues from time to time. But then there are times when it does make a difference. So that's all I would say. I understand someone, being disgusted with both. I don't like either one of them, so I'm not going to vote. But you don't vote, and you're going to get the worst of what you're getting. And what people don't understand is that even the worst Republican, Mitt Romney, Lisa Murkowski,
he is the worst.
John Cornyn, they're still preferable to the average Democrat on the other side. I mean, Mitt Romney for all of his, I don't know, for all of his switches and all of his stunts and all of his, negative comments against President Trump and all that, he still is pro-life. He's Mormon. He's pro-life, and so we got to look at the big picture. Now, I would not vote for him in the Republican primary in Utah. I would find a more conservative candidate. In the primaries, I find the most conservative candidate that I can find that's got a shot. And I usually support that candidate. I usually vet the candidates personally as much as I can. But staying away is a recipe for disaster. And it looks like what's just happened in Alabama is just not, it's not indigenous to Alabama, those types of numbers that you give me. But it's an indictment on the church. Honestly, as much as anything.
I do too. So what's the future of Liz Cheney?
Speaking of she's going to get wiped out. She's trying to recruit Democrats to vote for her in the primary up in Wyoming. Mm-hmm. But it looks like she's going to get wiped out, and she should get wiped out. And she needs to be wiped out, and she's been censured already. She needs to be banned from the Republican Party. She got to switch parties and go to New York or somewhere and try to find her a seat up there somewhere, because that's really what she's all about with this January 6th crap that she's been pushing. So
maybe she'll wind up as a talk show host on CNN or something.
I wouldn't doubt that at all. Maybe The View. She'd be perfect for The View.
Oh, she would be. She would be.
Right. Exactly.
Perfect. Well, we do have the election coming up. Let's talk about President Trump. I'm still calling him President Trump. Is he going to run? One day I think, yeah, no, yeah. I'm back and forth on that.
You got the president and the residents, and I believe he will run. Now, I could be wrong, but I believe he will run. And, I saw him the other night, and in Pennsylvania, I can't remember where he was, but the thunderstorm came and they had to cut the rally short, but he's still drawing more crowds than anybody.
I know. That's the thing.
Right. And he's not doing that for no reason. He's not continuing to do that for no reason. So I think he's lining it up. Some speculate he may announce on the 4th of July. We will see how it goes. He may wait until after the midterms to announce, because some Republicans want to hold off, because that'll give the Democrats an opportunity to run against him. Well, fine, run against him, because the man got more votes than any president in history, so go for it. But as I said earlier, you asked about a third party. I think he's already started a third party. Now, on the question is whether a third party can survive viably, that's an entirely different question. If the MAGA pulled off from the Republican Party, your concern there is the Democrats will sweep everything. But to be honest with you, it used to be that the Democrat Party was split in two. You had some moderates like Sam Nunn and Sam Ervin back from North Carolina, and Herman Talmadge from Georgia, and some of the Southern Democrats who were legitimately moderate versus the radicals in the Northeast. Now, the radicals have totally taken control. It's a monolithic uniparty of communists at this point. So, but I do think he's going to run, and I think we'll be having this conversation again if you're kind enough to have me back. And I think probably,
of course,
I think the real question, I don't think, honestly, Donna, I don't think it's a question of if, but when. When will he announce? I think that's the question. Does he announce with a big splash on the 4th of July, or does he continue to campaign, for other candidates through the election? Most of his endorsees have won in the primaries. Mm-hmm. In some cases, I would have picked the person other than who the president endorsed.
I would have too.
Nonetheless, most have won. And once he does announce, then he's got regulatory requirements for campaign finance that are not yet in place. So there might be some tactical advantages for him to wait until after November. But once November rolls around, maybe it's early 2023, but the question I think is not if, but when.
When? Well, let's think about this, because President Trump really does like to stir the pot. I mean, he likes, drama and that kind of thing. That's one of the things I like about him. Right. And he really loves ticking off. He likes to do the unexpected, not necessarily stirring the pot, but the unexpected, something you would just be shocked. What if he decided, you know what? I don't like the crazies in the Democrats or the Republican side. We're going to have our own. I think he's the guy that could pull it off. I think he could start a third party.
Well, he could start a third party. The last time a major presidential candidate did that was Teddy Roosevelt with the Bull Moose Party, when he pulled a lot of his followers away from the Republican Party. And the unfortunate effect there is that the votes got split and Woodrow Wilson wound up getting elected. But President Trump has more gravitas than Teddy Roosevelt. He could do it. And so the question is, do you start the third party, or do you try to run the rhinos out of the Republican Party? One state that really baffles me is Utah. Their governor out there is Republican, but acts liberal. Mitt Romney acts liberal. Orrin Hatch wasn't like that. Jake Garn, they were conservative. The last two senators from Utah in the late 90s, and Yarn and Hatch were there for a number of years. But how does Utah elect some Republican governor that's celebrating all kinds of woke junk? He was celebrating the other day the pronoun thing. The new pronoun thing the wokest have. You're he, she, it, them, they, they, whatever. And I think I might have mentioned this to you. I was in Barnes and Noble here at the Arboretum in Charlotte. I'm so good. A young girl up behind the coffee counter, a really nice young lady, probably looked like she's about junior, senior in high school. And then with Sally, it, them, they. I go, what? But the Republican governor of Utah was embracing that junk not long ago. So it goes back to my point. Is it better to start a third party or run the rhinos out of the Republican Party? I think the latter course is an easier push. But I don't know how this guy gets reelected out there. In fact, I don't know how Romney gets reelected out there. I would think those Mormons out there would be disgusted with a lot of his antics, but then again, who knows?
But if you're a businessman or you're a businesswoman, and let's say you buy a business, which is there's no return on it. I mean, you're better off to scrap it and start all over again. And I can see that happening with a businessman.
No, I was in Washington a couple of weeks ago speaking at the National Federation of Christian Businesses. It's an organization that is seeking to actually bring Christian businesses together to speak, with a unified voice on a lot of issues, both regulatory and issues that matter to the church as well. And you're right. Sometimes it gets so bad you scrap it and you just start from new. The question is, if you scrap, are you giving the other side too much of an opening while you're trying to rebuild? That therein lies the predicament. Now, if the groundswell is large enough, you start a third party and pull it off immediately. The groundswell is large enough. And that's the real question.
Well, I think we've got one large enough. Think about the crowds. I keep going back to the crowds.
No, MAGA is larger. You know, you have the libertarians that get on the. I mean, MAGA swamps the libertarians. MAGA swamps the old American Independent Party that George Wallace tried to push. It swamps the Constitution Party. These are some other parties that sometimes manage to give enough signatures on petitions to get on ballots. But certainly, it's there for the taking. It is certainly there for the taking, and I think it would, in a presidential election, if Trump's on the ballot, he's going to draw no matter what. I mean, he's going to draw, and we get a lot of Democrats. I mean, 70. We know the vote tally was over 80 million, even though they say like 75. We think 81 to 83. But and that passion is not diminished. As if anything, it's increased every time they try to shut down somebody that talks about the election fraud. They shut it down here, shut it down there. It's just like trying to pop, a leak in a dam. You pop that leak and 3 more pop out, and the left wing press doesn't get that. So it's within a realm of possibility. And but Donald Trump is the only man in the nation right now that could pull that off.
Yeah, I think he could. I'd love to see that. That would be, I mean, really, how much do you get rid of all of the swamp dwellers? So Ron DeSantis, is he going to run for president? Could you see him going against Trump?
I don't think he'll challenge Trump. If Trump indicates he's not going to run, I think he could very well run, and he's the best governor in the country. So, yeah, I think he's too smart to challenge Trump. Ron DeSantis is brilliant. That's not a battle he wants to fight. He's young enough. He doesn't need to take that battle on. There'll be plenty of opportunities for him. I personally hope he continues to consolidate power in Florida. He's done a great job. They tell me the Republican registration in Florida is outpacing the Democrat registration, and which is amazing considering all these, northern snowbirds that have moved down to get away from blue state COVID restrictions and regulatory oppression and all that kind of thing. So we need Ron DeSantis where he is. But if President Trump said, I'm out, I'm not running, then that'd be the guy that I get behind.
I think so too. So who would be Trump's running mate?
We mentioned this earlier. I got a feeling it could be Tim Scott. I just have that feeling. There are other options, but Tim Scott is the first Black Republican elected from the South. Matter of fact, I think it may be the first. When I say Republican, I mean to the Senate from the South. And matter of fact, he may be the first Black Republican senator from the South at all. He's extremely conservative. He is evangelical. He's far to the right of Lindsey Graham. He would be a very good choice, but there are others as well. At one time, I thought it might have been Pompeo. I don't think that might be the case anymore. But I thought that at one time, Kristi Noem, the governor of South Dakota, is telegenic and very articulate, and I think she could be a possibility as well. She's kept in good stead with him as well. Then you look around as well, and who knows? You might. I was going to say Ted Cruz might even be a possibility, but there's been some bad blood there in the past. They patched it up. I don't think Trump needs Texas to win. That probably isn't as likely. He can't pick DeSantis because they're from the same state, and therein lies the predicament. He could do something. He might pick. Well, I was going to say at one time he might have picked Nikki Haley, who would not be a personal favorite of mine, but I think she's kind of blown that a little bit. Yeah. The comments she's made, she's now trying to kiss back up to him. But I have a feeling could be Scott. He could pick the governor of Virginia, Neil Youngkin. That's a possibility as well. I mean, Youngkin is kind of like a Republican star at the moment. But again, that's the situation. I like to see him stay governor of Virginia as long as he can. But that's a possibility. Josh Hawley out of Missouri is a really talented guy, But if you're going with a woman, I think probably Kristi Noem would be your top pick. I don't know. Those are some names that pop up.
I know who he needs to pick. He needs to pick Attorney Don Brown. You'd be a good one. You would be an awesome one. I'll have to tell you. I can't think of anybody.
You tell President Trump. You put that bug in his ear next time you talk to him.
I'll talk to him.
Gary, North Carolina. I hope Gary, North Carolina. I tell you who. Speaking of North Carolina, I don't know if you've been following Mark Robinson, but the lieutenant.
Oh, I love him.
lieutenant governor here is a superstar. He won't. I think Mark Robinson may be the next governor of North Carolina, so I don't think he would necessarily be a pick that Donald Trump would make at this point. But I was just thinking of North Carolinians that might fit the bill. But there are a number out there. He could go into the House, and he might. I think Jim Jordan's awfully sharp. You know, I mean, that's a possibility. There are a couple of young, Dan Bishop here in Charlotte's pretty sharp, but generally, if you're going to pick someone from the House, it's got to be someone who is very, very, very well established and well known. And Jordan is probably the one who would fit that bill if he decides to go into the U.S. House of Representatives.
So, Don, we're going to have to call it a day. How can folks find more information about you and your books?
DonBrownBooks.com or DonBrownBooks@gmail.com. You look me up on Google, on Amazon, I'll be there. Send me an email and I'll write you back.
Absolutely. Don, thank you so much for being on the show.
Thanks, Donna. Time flies when we're having fun. Hope to see you again soon.
Sure does. Most certainly does. We're going to do it again next month, okay?
That's how I feel. Talk to you soon.
Okay. All right, folks, let's get ready to end the day today. Thank you so much for watching Afternoon Drive Home on IC Radio. And don't forget channel 182 on Charter Communications Local and Abundant TV found on Roku, Apple TV, and Amazon Fire. So we look forward to seeing you